Boom! What's up, y'all? So, I gotta tell y'all a story. This literally just happened to me about a half an hour ago, and I really don't know how to feel. I'm upset, very upset. I'm sad. I just have a whole bunch of mixed feelings on what just happened, and I can, ponder and wonder why this just happened to me, but it's just a very strange thing that happened to me, and so I'll just get right to it. I was at a McDonald's in Dunedin, Florida. Here's the address right here, and I was having my $1.69 coffee, and I thought the address would be there, and minding my own business like I always do. If I go to Mickey D's, it's just I'm having a coffee or I'm gonna review a product or something like that. I've been to this same McDonald's probably, it's a little embarrassing to admit, but at least 40 times in the last probably 2 years, year and a half. I've never had any issues, All the employees are extremely nice to me. So I'm sitting in the corner next to the bathroom, and I had probably been there for about 2.5 hours, making videos, not shooting anything. I'm not filming anything on the location, just making some videos for YouTube, doing some research. And I don't know this guy's name, but I have seen them there a lot. I believe he's the regional manager. He's a bald guy, and it's pretty interesting because when I have seen him, not that I'm trying to pay attention to what he is doing, but he kind of holds court, and he's doing training, and I don't ever see him talk to customers. I typically only see him talk to employees. Maybe he's doing training and whatnot, but I never really got a good feeling about him just because I would overhear him say things the way that he would kind of talk down to his employees, or kind of talk about in a negative way, even like personal things about other employees to employees. And this is me not even trying to pay attention. I would just hear it because he was so, it's like he didn't care, that anybody heard. So anyways, I'm sitting there. I ordered my coffee. I've been there for about 2.5 hours, minding my own business. The McDonald's was there was not hardly anybody in there. It was less than half full. And I went to the restroom. I came back out, and he said, and he didn't even get up. He was with this lady, which I believe is the manager. And he said, "Excuse me, sir." And I looked up, and he said, "I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." And I said, "What?" He says, "I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." And I said, "Well, why?" And he said, "Sir, I'm just gonna have to ask you to leave, and if you don't leave, I'm gonna call the cops." And so I said, "Well, what is your name?" And he wouldn't give me his name, and so then I walked up to him and I filmed because I wanted to get this footage, and this is what I filmed. Sir, what's your name?
Sir, you can stop recording and leave.
You're not gonna give me your name?
Leave, sir.
Okay. Ordered one coffee. I was ready to order a lunch, and this gentleman right here, let's make sure we find out who he is, just asked me to leave. I asked him if he wanted to see my receipt. He was very cocky, very condescending. So as you can see, he didn't give me his name, and he didn't give me any information. He just said, "I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." And so I felt I was in shock. I was all caffeinated. I don't drink coffee all that much. I was embarrassed. I don't know why I was embarrassed. I didn't do anything wrong, but I was embarrassed, and I was like, well, what is going on? And so I left, and I'm making these assumptions on what happened, what was the dynamics, what was the vibe in there, what it is about me that made him kick me out of McDonald's. And could it be that maybe I have this mohawk and maybe I look homeless, that he was just judging me and think that I didn't pay for anything and that I was loitering? I told him, hey, I have a coffee, would you like to see my receipt? He never answered a question or rebuttal. The only rebuttal he said is, "I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." And so he wouldn't give me his name. When I asked him if he wanted to see my receipt, he said, "I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." And so I'm thinking, maybe he thought that maybe I was aware of the way that he was treating his employees and the inappropriate things he was saying to his employees. Not that I was snooping, not that I was listening. I have other important things to do. I was in a creative mode. Caffeine puts me in a creative mode. But I did overhear him saying to the manager, the lady that he was sitting next to, he's like, "Well, we should go out for drinks after this." And then she mentioned something, well, so-and-so moved out and there's no kids in the house. And he said, well, if you want this done, you're gonna have to go out to drinks with me. I wasn't snooping, I just heard that. Never caught eye contact with him, nothing like that. And so the only thing I can assume is that maybe he heard, or maybe he thought that I heard him say these things, belittle his employees, inappropriately talk about topics he would talk about in a negative way. I get he's a regional manager. I'm thinking, I don't know who he is, but that's what I'm guessing. I know he's supposed to be training and maybe give positive input, and positive feedback, and to make sure that his employees are, doing things right. But to belittle them and to talk down to them and then talk about personal things to other employees, and then to say, hey, you need to go to drinks with me. And then when she kind of, didn't say, yeah, he's like, well, if you need this, then you're gonna have to go drinks. So I think that he was aware that I was pretty present, and that he was fearful that maybe I heard, maybe he said some even more horrible things that he thought that I heard that I didn't hear, because remember, I wasn't really paying attention. So I'm like in shock, I feel bad, and it makes me think that whoa, this has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with him. And if he is the regional manager, if he could make me feel like that, a paying customer, if he could make me feel like that, where in the moment at that McDonald's, I felt embarrassed, I felt shocked, I felt out of place, I didn't know how to respond, I was just in shock, that he's probably doing that to other customers. And I felt like he had this arrogance about him, like this condescending tone to him. Like I was threatening him, like I was a threat to him. I think that he maybe thought that I overheard something that I didn't overhear. And so he wanted me out of his store. And it was just a bad vibe, a very bad experience. I left, and I never do this, y'all. I never go on to, and go do a review online. But I was so shocked, and I was like, I don't want this to happen to somebody else. Maybe he thought that I was loitering and I didn't have it and I didn't pay for anything. And I had my coffee right there. And I don't want this to happen to other people. I understand loitering if you don't buy something. I've hung out at Whole Foods. I'm gonna go to Whole Foods right now, and buy something. I go there and buy deals, and then I do reviews. If you guys watch my videos, I do reviews, new products and stuff. I'll hang out there for 5 or 6 hours. I think any cafe or any restaurant, certain like a McDonald's or something, if you're a paying customer, you shouldn't be kicked out like that. But I don't think it had anything to do with me. It wasn't about me, it was about him. And to make me feel the way I do is wrong. I'm a pretty confident guy. I'm a pretty put together individual, And for him to be, I felt like he preyed on me. And for him to do that to me, he's probably done that to a lot of people, a lot of other customers, including his employees. Definitely inappropriate. I think it's wrong. I wish that type of situation never happens at all, to make somebody feel like that. It's not right. I still feel icky about it, and I want something done. If he's a regional manager, how do you report him? You can leave a review. They had thousands of reviews. A lot of them were bad, a lot of them were mediocre, and a lot of them were pretty good. But to make an individual strike, just shock into them as they're just minding their own business, and to make them, when they leave that establishment, make them feel icky and make them feel like they did something wrong, is inappropriate and should not happen. Should he get fired? Maybe. Should he get some new training? Maybe. Should he be put on leave? Maybe. You know, I'm wondering what his employees have to say about him. You know, is he doing a lot more inappropriate things, like inappropriate things, where maybe this stems from? Maybe he maybe thought that I overheard something really, really bad. And the lady sitting next to him, the manager, she looked down the whole time. She didn't even look me in the eye. She looked down the whole time when this went on. So, whoever he is, whatever is going on with him, is not okay if he's a regional manager. It's not okay if he's a manager. It's not okay if he's an employee. You know, if he's feeling down, if he's feeling whatever he's feeling, he shouldn't be in that position to just suffocate someone with what's going on with him and to make someone else feel the way he made me feel. He basically adiosed me out of Mickey D's. He kicked me out of Mickey D's, and I did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong at all. And I don't want people to feel this way. Because I haven't felt that way in a you know what, to be honest, I don't think I've ever felt that way before. I haven't been kicked out like that. From an establishment like that, you know, ever. So it just put me into shock. It put me into like, what is going on here? To be honest, y'all, I feel really bad. I still feel really, really bad. But I wanted to film this. I wanted to just put this out there. I wanted to put it online. I wanted to know if anybody else has been kicked out of an establishment for that. How did it make you feel? You know, how did you follow up? Did you ever get an answer for why you were mistreated? What you know, what are the laws against that? You know, what are the laws against that? Are there any laws against that? I don't know. But I am not going to let that affect me anymore. I'm going to try, because it made me feel so icky and so horrible, that I'm going to take some deep breaths. I'm going to ninja flip on my bike, and I'm going to continue to do what I was doing today, and that's be creative and create and spread the love. So, Mickey D's, if you see this, reach out to me. I will share again with you if you want to speak to me on a one-to-one basis, because I don't want this to happen to anybody on planet Earth, whether it's at Mickey D's or anywhere. Nobody should be treated the way I was treated. And again, I believe it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with him. And it's not right. It's not right. I offered no threat to anybody there. I was just doing me. I was a paying patron. I was a paying customer. And I don't like this word, but shame on him. Shame on him, shame on him. And if you see this, I don't know your name. I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. I would advise you, in my opinion, to harvest self-love, to forgive yourself, to love yourself, and to learn from your mistakes, and to try your hardest to not to treat anyone, even if it's not a customer, a family member or friend, not to treat someone the way you treated me.